Alright, so we're just working on kind of the same thing as the last video. Some addition, subtraction, multiplication, all involving I, so we can just keep practicing that. Alright, so example 5, we have square root of a negative number, square root of a negative number. So I'm just going to rewrite that. I know that's going to be I times the square root of 12a times I times the square root of 3a. Alright, then we can go about this a couple ways. I mean, we could break down the square root of 12, but I know it's going to get multiplied with this square root of 3, and 12 times 3 is 36, which has a square root. So I'm just going to go ahead and skip to the multiplying. So I times I is I squared, and then the square root of 12 times 3 is 36. I'm just keeping this under the square root for right now, and a times a is a squared. Alright, so we've got our I squared times the square root of 36 is 6, and the square root of a squared is a. So we know that I squared is equal to negative 1. So we have negative 1 times 6 times a, which is negative 6a. Alright. This next one I think is going to be a little bit more complicated, but we'll just walk through it step by step. Okay, so first we have square roots of negatives. So let's bring in I so that we have positive values. So there's a square root of a negative 1, so we have I times the square root of 25a cubed minus, we're going to bring in I there, we have 225a cubed plus, there's one right there, so I'm going to say 20ai square root of a. Alright, so now let's kind of walk through and simplify each one. So in this first one, I have an I have a square root of 25, which is 5, and then the square root of a cubed. Now remember how we did that shortcut where it's a square root, so how many groups of 2 do you have in a cubed? You have 1, so we have an a to the first power. You have, so it's kind of like here's a times a times a. That's a squared. The square root of a squared is this a right here. And see how there's 1 left over? So that stays underneath the square root. And then I'm going to go ahead and write that again, just so we have a 5ai square root of a minus. Alright, so the next one, square root of 225 is 15. So we have I times 15. And then here's the a cubed, and now I can pull an a out, and 1 stays underneath. So that's going to be 15ai square root of a. Alright, well this one, we have our square root of a. We can't do any more simplifying, so we'll just bring that down. Plus 20ai square root of a. Alright, so we are adding and subtracting 3 terms. We got this one, minus this one, minus this one. And because they all have the square root of a, these are possible like terms. We have to look at what's out in front. This is a 5ai minus a 15ai plus a 20ai. Because they all have the ai, we can go ahead and put these together. So 5 minus 15 is negative 10 ai square roots of a plus 20 ai square root of a. And now we can combine these two. Negative 10 ai plus 20 ai is positive 10 ai times the square root of a. So not too bad, just a little bit involved.